Sure. That's right. Good job, Garrett. Good job, Garrett. Delegating that to David. That's awesome. Good delegation skills, Garrett. Very good. You made it seem like it was his idea. You did that old trickaroo, the
Hey,
reverse
we
psychology,
might be able to make Garrett an E5 one day.
right? I assume that's some sort of slight. I don't know what E5 means, but I bet it ain't good. So,
They're all
all right,
clapping,
wait, no,
so it
hang
is
on,
good.
wait
It
a minute.
is good. It is good. All right.
Well,
There's a lot of E5s in here. I take offense to that. I'm an E5.
it seems as though it seems as though I've lost the room a bit. Uh, hang on. Wait a minute. I have told joke after joke all day, all long. I ain't never got claps like unprompted. I've had to make y'all clap. So whatever. Not cool. Not good. Now I am. Damn, that's all recorded too. All right. It was all jokes. We're just joking around here. Everything's fine. It's nothing crazy. All right, that's it. I'm done being silly. Okay. First, we got. We'll do my group up first, and then we'll go from there. So, Spark, y'all go ahead. Take it away.
Awesome. So I'm Jesse Carter from SparkSoft. I got my team, Noah, Ryan, and Colin here. And our task was to create an application that could help a company with their computer issues. They had a no system in place to get their tickets fixed, work orders fixed for the computers. So our task was to create like a landing page an employee could log into, and then they'd either have just employee roles or an admin role or a technician role, and then they could submit the tickets, track the tickets, and then have a chat functionality with the technician in case there was issues. So I'm going to share my screen and uh, pass this over. Let me find the share button. Here we go. Um, okay. Everybody see this okay? Yeah, okay. Um, okay, so this is our landing page here, trouble. We got a clean interface here, employee login, log into the system. We come to a landing page right here. Uh, you can enter the landing page here. I'm going to pass this to Ryan. He made the ticket create functionality. I'm gonna have him talk to this. So if you'd like to take it away, Ryan, I'll navigate as you tell me to navigate.
Awesome. Thanks, Jesse. So my name's Ryan. I'm gonna tell you about like our heart of our application, and it's the employee portal. So that's like wherever we're gonna create our tickets, we're gonna show what tickets we've created, and we chose to use a clean table to display those tickets. In order to catch the data for those tickets, though, we have to create a new form, or we use the form, and we use that clickable button right there with a new issue. So once we click that, we're going to pop up our form, really enhancing that single page application where it just renders the form instead of that table. So with that, we'll just create our first little issue here. So we have select uh, inputs here. So we can collect like hardware, IT, security, software, or miscellaneous were the categories that the client wanted us to have for these. So if we were to click either security, IT, or software, those can be considered like remote tickets. And hardware and miscellaneous will most likely going to be a non-remote tickets. So those will automatically be populated whenever we click those. And then the next one is going to be a city. Most likely you're going to be picking the city that you're in, but these are the categories that the cities that the company has. So we have Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and Las Vegas, and Carlsbad in Mexico. And then we'll just describe our ticket. So give us a description of what's wrong with or whatever issue that the client is having. And then once we enter that, we'll submit it there. And it will show up here. So once we click, we can also click on any of these descriptions here, and you can see that if it's too long, it'll have a chart indicated down. If you click on it, you can see the description in its entirety. You can also see that we pop up a little chat bubble down there on the bottom right, where we can do a little chat function, but we'll explain a little bit more of that later. For now, I'll go ahead and pass it to Colin if he wants to talk about the chat functionality of it, or we can go with Jesse again with the technician.
Okay, I'll take the technician portion real quick, and then I'll let Colin explain the chat functionality. Over here, when we get into the technician portal, this shows a list of all the pending tickets. You can see the locations where they're at, a description of where the what the issue is, and categories. If there's a category is not in here, I can click on it and update it accordingly. If it's yes or if it's remote or not, and then I can submit this to the database. Once it's submitted, on this side, it's the since my credentials have me located in Austin, it's only going to populate the Austin stuff over here on this side. So once I hit submit, it'll update the database and then populate over here. So for instance, here's one I created by myself. If I hit submit, it will update over here. It's updated the database. We discovered this morning that it didn't render. It's probably a simple fix. I just didn't want to break this system right before the right before the presentation. But if I back out and go back in, it was this one here. My computer continues to shut down. So I'm going to hit home. I hit continue, and now it's populated on this side too. And then I can update the status and close it out and submit it. Or I could resubmit it as pending. If I realized, oh, this isn't a hardware issue, this is some other issue, I could change it over here. And so that being said, I'll pass it over to Colin to talk about the chat functionality here. Let me see. Did somebody want to chat with me on the other side from the team? Let me see.
Yeah, I can get on my ticket there.
Okay, just make a ticket and make sure it's in Austin so that I'll see it. And then let me know when it's done and I'll refresh my page so we can show the chat functionality. And then while he's doing that,
New ticket submitted.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to home, hit a technician, and then should see it right here for Austin. So I'm gonna submit it, go back to home, so it refreshes. Okay, and then it's over here. And then so if I click on this now, this issue, I can see the description here. The bubble pops up here, and then I can say what seems to be the problem. The chat functionality is there. I posted my update there, and then he can respond back, and I can respond back and forth to him, and it'll keep a record of all the conversation regarding that. So now that you've seen that working here, would you like to talk a little bit about that, Colin? Talk about this functionality.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse. Just to go over what I worked on during this product, I had the authentication for the registration and login, and then I also was responsible for making the chat. For the chat, it's a lot more complicated than it seems. So how it works is through the technician portal and the employee portal. Every ticket has a separate chat, and the technicians and the employees can communicate between each individual portal that they're inside of. But to keep it short, that's all the functionality of what I worked on. So Noah, if you want to go into all the CSS stuff.
Yeah, so as far as CSS goes, there's a lot of it. We've got a night mode for every page, or a dark mode. That was pretty interesting. It involved a lot of conditional class name changing, and new rules and stuff to fit like that. We have a logout feature and a home feature on every pertinent page. The home doesn't render on the home page, and the logout doesn't render on the logout or the login page. We also have I worked on the login and registration functionality. So both of those both of those were kind of my baby, as well as the CSS and yeah, designing the website and stuff like that. I think the hardest part was the tables, getting all the tables to work with night mode, because anytime you mess with one little tiny CSS rule in a table, the entire thing collapses. So it took us all a lot of work to do that. But that's pretty much what I did.
Awesome. Thanks, Noah. Lastly, on the admin portal here, that's something to be said too. So when they register, they automatically, everybody has employee view. But if you're only an employee, you'll only see the employee portal. If you're a technician, you'll see the technician portal and the employee, because you may need to write a ticket for somebody else to fix. As far as admins, you'll see your admin portal and then the employee portal. So I think somebody changed the admin, my technician role to admin, so I could show you this here. As somebody logs into the system or registers, they'll have an employee, and they'll create their name in here, and then the admin can go in here and specify what location is in here, or the skill set, edit and delete it here. So we can pick a city here. And that's the admin portal there. As far as, there was a lot of learning experiences here. I think we did a really great job. The team, phenomenal, getting everything to work here. And we end up solving the problem for the trouble ticket. It's got a good foundation. So there's other ideas the client needs to add on to this. There's a foundation in place to build off of. With that being said, is there any questions or?
I don't really have any questions. It's just really good work. Obviously, one thing that I'd like to make note of is like as a group, y'all can see that, like, I mean, really, truly, y'all can see how far y'all have all come, like as individual developers and then working as a group. So something as simple as like just rendering out a table with a list and like looping through that and creating that and doing conditional rendering in React so you can have different views. Not long ago, literally like a month ago, y'all didn't know how to do that. That's my whole point. Like you have learned a lot at a very fast clip here. So if you continue with that kind of like intensity in what you're doing and you don't slow down, think of where you'll be in 4 months from now and 6 months, and then God forbid a year. It's been one of those. Last night was kind of one of those nights where I was hanging out with a couple of friends. I didn't want to stay in my house last night. I went out and just had a couple beers with a couple of friends, just talking. And it was amazing to me that I had been doing this job. I haven't been a working software engineer in 3 years. That was crazy. I was like, dude, I've been an instructor for 3 years. That's insane. It goes so fast. So if you were able to pick up that much momentum and learn that much and to come up with a product like that that's fully deployed, has chat functionality, is worked out in an agile methodology, has all these different, features built into it in just a couple of weeks. If you can pick that up in a month, if you can build that in a couple of weeks, and it took you, and 2 months ago y'all didn't even know what React was or the full life cycle of a hook or request response cycles or middlewares, or you didn't know any of that. So that's my whole point, is like really like putting your foot down and like grinding through this stuff. You can make, big strides very, very quickly. So very good work. I think y'all did a really, really good job. And I think that it must have been some sort of leadership that did that. So whoever y'all's client was must have been really good. Very direct with y'all, maybe inspiring, kind of funny, seemingly rich. So all those things, but very good, very good, very good. Cool. Anybody else, even students or anybody else got questions for him before we move on to the next one? Okay, Colin, you got your hand raised.
Yeah, it's not a question. It's just something I wanted to put out there. I'd say in terms of development for this project, the biggest stride and what we got better at as a team, especially, is we were all working inside of each other's work, and it was all pretty seamless the entire time. So we were easily able to go into each other's code and make changes for like the features and functionality that we were adding. And it was just something that I haven't seen before, like at least done that well. So.
No, that's perfect. And whenever you're working with a team to where it actually kind of, you get good symbiosis there, then yeah, it is a good feeling to like kind of work on something and then get it done. I honestly I don't really remember what that feels like, but I remember I used to like it. I remember I used to like building out features and getting them done on time better than what they were supposed to be and like have a good rep. I used to like that when I was like doing that kind of work. So yeah, enjoy it. Savor it in a little bit. Now, all y'all have to do is y'all will send me that repo. Let me know where the repo is. Just Slack it to me. But the deliverables are that plus any, internal toolings that you had, any boards that you had. And you got to create the README for the project because whenever y'all do start, that's a good project and y'all all had y'all's hands in it. That's a good project for like some experiential stuff that you can say, hey, look, I built this thing right here. It's got all these different features. Well, I'll tell you this from my end, whenever I was interviewing people or looking at people's portfolio sites, the first thing I look at is the README. Am I really going to fork and clone your project and like pull it down and run it on my machine? Or am I going to go to the free tier place that you have it deployed to and wait for the dynos to start up and wait for it to load because it's never loaded on my system? Probably not. So you have to make a README that captures all of that I can just kind of scroll through. And then if I like it, I'm like, okay, let me actually go click on it and let me just see how it actually works. So the README has to really be good. So we're giving y'all some time to do that today before graduation. So that's what y'all will be working on when we're done with this. But overall, very good work. SparkSoft starting off, we're batting 1,000 starting off. So really good. Very, very good. Very good. Very good. And I love the name. SparkSoft that's a good name. Very good. Very good. Okay, cool. Next, we do have Caroline and Danny here, which is good. And David's here as well. So we got all the clients here and Simi's here and blockers here. So we got some peeps. Next, we'll go ahead and I guess we'll let David's group go next. We'll let David's group go.
Yeah.
So when I say David's group can go next, David's group go next.
All right, if
You
you
mean the
could share your
Brendo.
screen, Miles.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Zoe. I'm the team lead here at No Friendo. I'm joined by my group of fellow engineers. We got Tim, Luke, Aaron, and Miles. Our client for this was Mr. David Garcia. He's representing Galvanize Inc., which is an online coding bootcamp. He came to us because his company didn't have a way to test incoming students for entrance into their software engineering program. So the solution we came up with for him was we built a live coding test suite. Basically allows a student to enter a coding test suite while the instructor monitors them. They also have a feature to send messages between each other through a chat box in real time. And the stack we used for this was the Pern stack. We used Supabase for our database as an object relational mapping tool. And then we also used WebSockets. As far as the team roles, Tim was our Scrum Master and front end lead. On the back end, David, Miles, and myself worked to put that together. Luke was in charge of WebSockets and the messenger. And then Miles was our DevOps and testing engineer. So I'm going to pass it off to Tim and Miles. They're going to take you through the application demo from start to finish. And as they go through specific features, whoever worked on that part is going to talk about the tech that they used and any obstacles they ran into. And then we're going to wrap it up at the end with lessons learned from the No Friendo team as a whole. And then we'll open the floor for questions. So Tim, Miles, if you want to take that away.
All right. Hey, I'm Tim. I'll be your navigator for today. And Miles will be your driver. So on Team No Friendo, I worked on the overall page designs and React routing for testing suite. So here you see our wonderful landing page and some basic information about our app. So all right, let's go and get started. And let's make us an account. So while that's happening, I'll have Miles talk a little bit about Bcrypt and JWT. Go ahead, Miles.
All right, hi. So I was in charge of doing the authentication for this application. where we decided to use bcrypt and cookie parser. So that way we can go ahead and have people log in and register. So bcrypt allows you to go ahead and encrypt your passwords. So that way it's on the database, but we can't read it. And cookie parser allows you to go ahead and continue being logged in beyond the registration and login pages. With that, I'll go ahead and pass it back to you, Tim.
So let's go ahead and log in with one of the accounts we made and meet everybody in the lobby. So here in the lobby, you can see that we decided to go with a minimal and clean aesthetic. The instructions are on the left, along with room selection, and the global chat is to the right. All of this was done with the help of Tailwind and Daisy. These libraries really help speed up the development process. Well, you can see some of the messages are coming in now. And you can see it happening in real time. Looks like we have a few messages from like Handsome Squidward, Jesse, Nathan, Bully McGuire. But Miles, go ahead and type in some messages to our friends. And while I do that, Luke, can you talk a little bit about the lobby chat?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Luke. I did a majority of the work for the WebSockets. The WebSocket, we use the library socket IO to implement the chat. That allows us to have multiple users come into the chat, put in messages, and not have to do fetch requests to the server to talk to the server. The server can just send them the message without that request. I'm just going to talk about some obstacles we faced along the way in implementing the chat and WebSockets in general. The first one was that initially, when we implemented the WebSockets, when we applied them on use effect hooks, and at that level, whenever the component loaded, it would create a new socket connection to the server. And you would have like multiple connections. A single client would have a connection from the lobby, a connection from one of the testing rooms, and there would be a lot of crosstalk. So what Aaron helped me do is our solution was to bring it above the components, above the app level even, and just put it in a completely separate file, in a separate file management. And what that did was when the page loaded, rather than when the component loaded, the client would connect to the server through a WebSocket and would only create that one socket connection, not making redundant socket connections. One other one I'm going to talk about right now is the current users list you see on the right side of the chat. There's a lot of different ways to implement that. You could have like an active list on the server side that keeps track of everyone. The way we decided to implement it was to have all the exits and all the entrances covered. What that means is if the client were to go into a testing suite, close the browser, log out, whatever they would do, it would have the client send a message to the server, let them know that they left the chat so that the server can keep track of who is there and who is not. So I saw early, oh, there it is. The instructor told us we're good to go into room 1. So we'll have Miles go into room 1, and this is our testing suite. And I'm just going to talk a little bit more about the WebSockets here. And the testing suite itself required the WebSockets because you need to separate the different rooms. There's room 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And you need to separate all of them in the WebSocket. So everything here, all the information that's passed through here, from the question to the text editor to the chat on the right, require WebSockets. And I'm going to just talk about one more obstacle that we faced here, and that is the timer at the top left. Currently, it's paused. The way it works is the instructor, not the student, is able to click that. If you would demonstrate that right now, the instructor, click on that button, you see everyone in the room would have their timer set, and the instructor can pause, play that timer anytime they want. It would send it to the whole room. So an obstacle we faced with that was just getting it to sync up. That sounds really easy, but the issue was that there's also a lot of different ways to implement timers. And instead of having the server keep track of all the rooms and their times, we decided to have the client be the controller. They send instructions to the server and let them know when to start and stop the timer. With that, that pretty much covers WebSockets. I'm going to pass it off to Aaron to talk about the text editor.
Hey, what's going on? My name's Aaron. Kind of one of the main things I worked on was the text editor. As you can see, I use something called the Monaco text editor, which is the same one used for VS Code. So the nice thing about that, we got syntax highlighting. You also have like tooltips or suggestions for code, which is really nice and convenient. I worked a lot with Luke to make sure that you can edit the code simultaneously. So if the instructor wants to change something, they can write a little comment. That was pretty tricky to figure out. And the submitting when you run the code, both sides can see the code execution. Another thing that I kind of ran into is when you execute code, it's not very secure. So you can quickly break the website on your side. So in order to fix that, I actually embedded the Monaco editor inside an iframe, doing a little bit of magic, if you would. And what that does is it prevents it from actually interfering, or it's like its own little context, so it doesn't actually interfere with the rest of the website. So that's I did a little other stuff working with S3 buckets and stuff like that, but we'll get to that next. All right, I'm gonna give the floor back down to Tim, and he's gonna explain some more functionality.
All right, guys. So as you can see, we're in the text editor and Miles has ran some of the code, but oh man, it looks like we didn't really study too well for the two sum. So maybe let's go take a look at the hints and see if they can help us out. Nope. Looks like we're gonna have to get the instructor in for some help on this one. Yeah, what is that? All right, go ahead, Miles, and ask the instructor on the side chat for help. So in this room chat, only whoever is in the room can talk. So we got the instructor, Miles, and apparently Garrett. So, hey, instructors, can you give us the answer real quick? All right, so the instructor is gonna copy and paste in that answer that we definitely didn't have prepared, and go ahead and execute that, making sure it's all correct. As you can see, two sum works exactly as intended. So this is a very generous instructor, 5 stars. Galvanize should hire him. But let's go ahead and submit that now that it's valid. And congratulations, guys. Now you are a official software engineer. And while we do that, let's go ahead and go back to lobby, change our profile picture to reflect our new job as a software engineer. So as you can see here, you can change your profile picture via image link and also a file upload, and the files are hosted on AWS S3 instance. We only accept GIFs, PNGs, JPEGs, and MasterCard. All right, I'm going to pass it off to Aaron to talk a little bit about AWS S3 hosting.
Yeah, so I worked with Tim. Tim got it kind of the front end, I did the back end. So you can dynamically post images up to your S3 bucket, and then you can upload them, and then it sends back the URL link, which you can use for images. It's super cool, super fun. That was really good to work with. All right, back to you, Tim.
All right, looks like now that we're happy with the photo and we look like official software engineers, we can go. I'll go ahead and pass it back to Zoe to bring us home.
All right, thanks, Luke, Tim, Miles, Aaron. Some of the lessons learned as a team as a whole was when we first started, we had like so many features on our MVP. We didn't know exactly what we wanted to leave in and leave out. So we kind of had to keep going back and strip our MVP down to the basics so we could stay on track. And then another mistake we kind of made was we started the design and then we asked the client about functionality and our design didn't fit. So we had to go back and kind of shift our design. Nothing too crazy. We still got the MVP done and the project done, but those were some of the lessons learned we took away from the project. Other than that, shout out to the No Friendo team. It was a lot of fun working on the project. There was one thing we did want to show. I think they missed. It was on the submit. It was the instructor support button. So if Miles wants to run that.
Good job, Garrett. Good job, Garrett. Good job, Garrett.
Other than that, we'll open the floor to any questions you guys got.
It's pretty funny. I like it. No, actually, that's great. That's such an amazing bulk of features that y'all are able to build in quite a quick turnaround time. One thing I was going to ask, the embedded coding window, what was the tech that you used for that? What was the name of it? Aaron, you had said it was something. I can't remember what you
It's the
said.
Monaco editor.
Monaco editor.
It's the same thing they use for VS Code.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it was interesting, the putting it in an iframe to create its own scope and context
Uh-huh.
where it wouldn't break the app. That's a really good little
Yeah.
feature as well. Yeah, so why don't you talk a little bit about that, Aaron, some of the challenges with that and how, like, what was it breaking? Why was it breaking the app is one thing I was wondering.
Well, I mean, if you just ran typical code, it wouldn't break it necessarily. But if you ran anything that interacted with the document, you could change the colors, you could delete things, you could just yeah. So it was just typical, and it's just something you don't want in your code editor. You could delete buttons by accident. So I just want to make sure that was more secure.
Very good. So that, the authentication, the S3 bucket, the ability to chat, the WebSockets everywhere, all of those are really, really good features. This is a very this is a really good project. It's deployable. If you have a really good README for it, there is no problem putting this as something on your resume, like a thing that you developed for sure. So yes, keep up with it. Send me the repo for it, create the README for it over the next couple of hours before graduation. But yeah, overall, like, fantastic work. Very, very good. Yeah, very good work. And the little Garrett video there at the end was, I'm probably well within my rights to sue, but I won't. I'll let y'all live. What about you, David? What do you think?
Sorry about that. I lost my screen for a second. Oh no, these guys did it great. So one thing, just as a client, I wanted to shout out NoFriendo with was just keeping me up to date very quickly, seamlessly. I didn't have questions. That was the crazy part. I usually have a ton of questions. They were able to kind of get to the features and the things before I even got there. And then what I liked the most was they asked really good questions about the experience of a user. So it wasn't just about features, right? It was like, do you want this here? Do you want this little notification here? Do you want this, even the submit button was something I didn't think about, right? Like, oh, just show them the code. It's like, no, but how do they know they're done, right? Like, and all that's part of the experience as a user. So I think they really took a good perspective on stepping outside of themselves and asking not just how do I create this? How is somebody gonna enjoy using this thing or feel like they're having a good experience of that? So great job, NoFriendo.
Yeah, very good work, NoFriendo. Digging it, digging it. Okay, cool. So we got two heavy hitters. Sparksoft, NoFriendo, very, very good. Next, we'll go with Caroline's group. Caroline's group, that's going to be a tough act to follow, but I'm sure that y'all will be able to. So y'all go ahead and take it away.
Mike, if you could do a favor and start sharing your screen, please. All right. Good morning, everybody. We are G-Unit, and our client was Caroline. Just to introduce the group really quick, I'm Kyle. I was the project manager for a good portion of the project, as well as touched a lot of the front end. Alex Fields was primarily working in our backend server and API functionality. Mike was our UI owner, as well as our person who personally did the authentication and login, log out functionality. Will set up Tailwind and Daisy UI so that we had a really good functioning front end and UI for the clients, as well as Stefan, who is sadly not here. He was our architecture owner, but he did a lot of work on the Kanban functionality as well as keeping an overall project in mind. So our project or our program is Scout. So with a show of hands, how many people have personally struggled with a job search, just keeping things organized and staying together with where they were going, how they were doing their job search? A lot of people. I know I personally have. So the purpose of Scout is to solve that problem. So as you can see, from the administrative side, we've got our Kanban board with drag and drop functionality that was directly used from the React Beautiful D&D library, as well as a lot of other behind the scenes work that Stefan did to make sure that if you could do me a favor and click on one of those modals, that you also get to see all the job fields on it and go through and update and delete for students over that. If you could do me a favor and go to the job board, please. As well as being able to add in new jobs for partner jobs as an administrator. Click on the register user, please. As well as assign new students to it. We didn't want people to just be able to come in and say, I am creating my own job board. We wanted to be left only to administration to be able to say who's in a cohort, what students are assigned to, and be able to push that information out. So I will hand it over to Alex to talk about a couple of problems that he ran into.
Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, so overall, we'll get into some technical issues that we had and some lessons learned, but the biggest thing that I actually learned and experienced during this project was just the experience of working on a full stack application with a group of people. We've worked with different groups of people, we've worked on different applications, but we haven't really made a full stack application from front to back with a group like this. And that was really key in us being able to accomplish what we did here. A lot of that just stemmed from the ability to communicate. I was primarily working in the back end, and it was so nice to be able to plan my routes whilst communicating with the front end developers and knowing exactly what information they needed and what information I needed for them to send to the server in order to make that happen. So that was something that really, really helped the development process. As far as some struggles that I ran into, one of the things that I wanted to do was to try and optimize the database and the back end for longevity. So there are some entries in our databases, our database, such as like notifications, things like that, that I didn't want them to become overly used to the point where we're starting to run down our indexing times and things like that. And so I thought about some potential solutions for that. And I could have ran, we have timestamps set on our notifications. I could have ran a script for deleting those notifications based on that timestamp when we're fetching them. But I realized that that was also going to bog down our server. And so what I ended up doing was finding a new library called NodeCron, which enabled me to actually instruct my server to run scripts or run routes on our server at a specified time each day. So our server every day at midnight checks to make sure that no notifications are older than 2 weeks. If they are, they're automatically deleted. So really, really proud of the progress. I'm going to hand it over to Mike.
All right. Hello, guys. So I was in charge of UI, UX design. I initially laid out the whole wireframe for the website, and as well as the encryption of passwords and authorization portion of the project. Basically, like the safe storage of passwords and giving the user proper access to the site. One of the biggest problems I ran into was understanding how the database and the server and browser all work together to provide the user with the safe and efficient way to access the site. The thing that helped me understand this is actually just to slow down. I think I was rushing a little bit too fast, and I just had to ask myself what the user actually what the user needed. And it was pretty simple. Just the user needed a secure way to store password, and they needed permissions to log in. And once I understood that, and slowed down. I just it all clicked together, and it made it easier for them just to register their account. And once the account was created, they log in, and all we needed to do was compare their passwords to the one we stored using bcrypt. And if they got the password right, then we send them the permissions through a token, the JSON web tokens, and it's like their golden pass to get into the site. Because I think we did that because of if this is going to be a galvanized specific website, we don't want anybody to log in or anybody to get access to the website. So slowing down and breaking it down really helped me out. And I worked closely with Will on this. Will worked on the front end portion of the login and register and the creation of users. So I'm going to pass it off to him now.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, I'm Will. I was in charge of the login component, the register component. We also ended up creating a change password component because with the admin being the one creating the accounts, we wanted the student to be able to change their password. So we added that functionality as well. I also created a light and dark mode component, which is in the upper right corner once you open up settings. And if you click on like all the other boards, you can see that the dark mode, light mode, state change stays persistent. One issue, one major takeaway that I had with this project is when I was working on the register component, I was working closely with my backend developers, mainly Moat and Alex, and we ran into a lot of issues with knowing what kind of data type they were expecting in the backend. For example, if we go to a register user, we initially had on the select roles, I was trying to pass a string to the backend, but it was expecting a number. And just being flexible throughout the whole project. Some of these were initially checkboxes, and then after getting some more feedback from the team, we decided to go with a drop-down menu. But other than that, I am very happy with my team and how this application has turned out. And with that, I'll pass back to Kyle.
All right, Stefan's not here, but he wanted to talk on a couple of lessons learned that he specifically had. So when working with the React Beautiful drag and drop library, there was a lot of functionality that was involved with it, setting different zones and making it so it was draggable. So there's a lot that went into it. And it was a big learning curve for him to be able to get over that. As well as having different views for the cards based on who's clicking on it. So if an admin's clicking on it, we don't want them to see the same thing that a student was seeing on it. And he did a ton of work on how this board worked with the routes to the back end and spent a lot of hours working to make sure that everything worked seamlessly. So personally for me, I think the biggest takeaway that I had was it was really crazy to go and have, like a couple people have said already, working into a code base together and being able to understand what all of us were doing. Tailwind and Daisy helped to make sure that CSS was clean and everybody wasn't having unnecessary complications based off of conflicting CSS files. And I was really scared to go look at our server for what the routes that I had to hit with the front end that I was developing. And Alex really knocked it out of the park for making a server that made sense so that I could just look, okay, this is the route that I'm hitting. This is what I need to do to get there. This is the information that I'm returning. I got what I need. So that was super awesome. With that, we all came together and really enjoyed working on this project together. A big thank you and shout out to everybody in my team on this and to Caroline for answering all of our questions as we needed, whenever we needed them. So if you have any questions for us, feel free.
Awesome. Again, very good work. You guys are knocking these out of the park. Really good functionality, good design, very useful app. And there is something to be said about the way that Kyle was, like just now, he was trying to articulate it a little bit better. He was trying to, but I think he articulated it fine, where he said, shout out to Alex for making a backend that makes sense. That is like literally like one of the when you work with code bases that quote unquote make sense, you just kind of know it. The code's written cleanly, it has good documentation, good it's succinct yet not overly abstracted. So yeah, that's worth its weight in gold for sure. And if you're working on a team to where if you want one part of your code to make sense, it's definitely your API layer, your backend layer. So really good work on that, Alex. So overall, yeah, very happy with this. Very good work. All of it, very, very good. And Caroline's dealing with her child, so shout out to her. But yeah, really good work. Very good, very good. Awesome. So we're 3 for 3 so far. Next, let's go with Team 4-star. You guys can go ahead and take over. This is Danny's group.
Good morning, everyone. We are Team 4-star doing a presentation on our app called Solidify, working with our client, Danny. So let me share my screen here. Sorry, I'll go to the home here. My name is Drew. I am the historian, and I developed the backend for our project. Next, we have Josh, who was our team lead during the duration of the development process and developed the entire flashcards functionality for the front end. So really proud of him for that. Then we have Nate, who was our Scrum lead and made sure the project's Git workflow was on track. And he created the login and register functionality for the front end. So after this, we'll be talking about what problems Solidify solves. And then we'll be going through a demo and each talking about the challenges and solutions we came up with. Then we'll finally open for a question section. So what problem does Solidify solve? It was it was developed for programming instructors and students in mind, helping students with the opportunity to review curriculum flashcards that were created by instructors and to copy command snippets into their project. More on this in the demo. Next, I'll be handing this off to Nathan, who will talk about the login and register functionality and show you how that works. I'll stop sharing here so we can stream.
All right, hey guys, thanks Drew for reminding me. Let me just open this up. Hopefully everyone can see that. All right, great. Hey, so my name's Nathan. You guys know who I am. So I'm going to show you our register and login functionality here. So if you look at the site, you'll see that we're on the home screen right now. I have the actual database pulled up here on the right, so you can watch it live just for fun. So we're going to go ahead and register here. And you'll see here we have a username, password, and role. So the purpose of this, basically, you have two different roles, right? You have a teacher and a student, and the teacher is going to have elevated permissions compared to a student. So let's go ahead and create a new user here. Let's just say we're going to name ourselves Garrett. Our password is just going to be password. And we will give ourselves the role of teacher. And we're going to submit. It's going to say registration successful. And Chrome is going to throw an error. It doesn't like that I used password as the password, I guess. Classic. So don't want to save that. And if we query our database again, we're just going to see Garrett here is going to show up as ID 15. And you're going to notice here that the password is hashed. We're using bcrypt for this on the back end. You can see some of the code here, but basically it's all server side. Right here on line 57, you'll see rehash the password. So if we wanted to store any number of passwords, they would all be automatically hashed by our backend. Shout out to Drew for rebuilding our entire backend in 3 days. Did a great job. Next, we're going to go to our login functionality. So you'll see here, I'm just going to type in some nonsense. It doesn't really matter. And it's going to say user not found because they're not in this table, right? So let's just try Garrett and we'll put in the wrong password. Just type in nonsense. Authentication failed. And then let's type in the right password, which is password. And we're going to be successful, and it's going to bring us back to the home screen. And it still doesn't like that the password is password. But yeah, that's primarily the main functionality of this. Some of the issues that I ran into while developing this, I I would say the obvious elephant in the room was one of our team members designed the back end in a unique way. So they really wanted to use CSRF tokens, which the rest of the team wasn't really familiar with. So we kind of had to try to work around that, which was interesting. So it was a unique challenge, and shout out to Drew and Josh for pulling through and doing a great job integrating everything in the back end. Does anyone have any questions about this component? All right, I will pass it off to Josh, who's going to go over the flashcards component. Let me just stop sharing here.
Give me 1 second. All right, can everyone see the screen? Okay, so I'm Josh. I was in charge of the flashcards. We're going to start from the home screen here. You can see if you click flashcards, it'll take you to the categories. We have all, which just encompasses all of the React and Node cards. If you click, like I said, all, it'll have all the cards that were made for both or the other two categories. If you click just the React ones, it'll have the React cards. Click on Node, it'll have the Node cards. So actually, one of the issues that I ran into making these cards was I was trying to get it to where if you click the check, it'll stay highlighted to let you know that you learned the card. And as you can see over here, it increases the progress. The only thing was, as I did that, all of them would highlight, which would sometimes cause the cards not to render. So I haven't found a workaround for that, but I'm working on that. So with the cards, you can click on the answer. So what is a prop? You click answer, it tells you the answer, and then you can mark it as learned. Go back. And then as you can see, the progress bar goes up again. And then with the instructors, they'll be allowed to create cards. So with the category ID, you can put in either 1 or 2 for the category. I'll put 2, which that will be Node. I'll put in Node answer, Node question. Then I will hit submit. It'll let you know that the flashcard was created. You go to flashcards. We'll go to Node to see if it appears. As you can see, it's right here. You'll see the Node question and then Node answer. And then you can click the trash can right here, tell you that the card was deleted. And then we'll go back and the card is gone. Okay, and that's the functionality for the flashcards, and I'll pass it back to Drew.
Thank you for that, Josh. Yeah, and then I'll be talking about our commands functionality here. So this is our commands function. It allows users to review common commands and look at any command text by searching for it. And then they'll be able to review the description and see what the commands does exactly, and be able to copy that into their system. So by default, it loads all the commands there. But if you did want to search for any particular ones, you could. So say restore, create, dump. It will pull those up. So some problems we ran into with this search functionality was it wasn't accepting any text I wrote into it whatsoever and running the function. So our solution was to make sure we had to parse a string, and we had to switch it to lowercase and just do a little more parse in there to ensure it worked with the function there. And then as you can see, when we copy this, I can paste it here and it copies that whole string up there. An issue I did run into with the copying too is it just wouldn't copy correctly with the state. It wouldn't like render to that state, so we had to use a use effect loop to make sure it copied correctly. And shout out to Nathan for really figuring out a lot of the logic on this and helping me with that. So with that, I would like to close out here. A big shout out to our team for grinding hard at this, for Josh and Nathan. Really proud of what we achieved in such a short amount of time. And any questions?
No questions, but really good work. Well, I do have one question, but I just want to say really good work on all that before I start asking the question. Really good work, solid design. It was good that y'all were able to implement the auth system like that as well. I like that. And then just like core functionality is really good. So yeah, very, very helpful. Good site. Like it. So I think we're batting 4 for 4 here. I think all of the projects were super strong, all of them. So yeah, really good work today. Let me go ahead and stop this video.